Overall, is it just Arsenal proving that they are the better team this season?
Yeah, they deserved it. You know, the top of the pile. And I think, you know, City have been quite inconsistent at times this season. Erling Haaland's had a long run without scoring goals. And, you know, Arsenal aren't the best team to watch. I think we all agree that they're not an exciting team at times, but they've got the job done. And I was thinking this yesterday. I was at Chelsea Tottenham last night and I had to write about Arsenal winning the league. It was a bit of a strange situation. But, you know, when Arsene Wenger's Invincibles won the league in 2004, they were a great team. But they were dethroned by Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, a team that played a totally different way. They mastered defence, they mastered set pieces, they had a lot of power. And that's what Arsenal have done. You don't have to play attractive football to win a title. They don't hand out extra points or medals for being a good team to watch. Arsenal have got the job done and they thoroughly deserve to be champions.
Frank, is that what you think too?
Yes, I do. And two nights ago, I was with Robert Pires and Emmanuel Petit, and we were pretty sure that City wouldn't win the game and only draw, and it's what happened. And overall, I think it's only fair to the Gunners. They were for a long time the favorites, and they put down a little bit their level. But overall, I think it's a deserving trophy that they got yesterday, and there is nothing much to say. Congratulations to them. It's been a hard task for Arteta for 6 or 7 years, I think, to make sure that Arsenal can reach more than 20 years after the Premier League trophy. So again, you have to be fair play, you have to congratulate them, and again, I think they deserve it.
Well, Frank, they're name dropping, hanging out with his very important friends. Hitz, I'm not sure if you were hanging out with some VIPs quite like Frank celebrating Arsenal's win, but your thoughts on how the Gunners and Mikel Arteta were able to pull it off this season?
I was hanging out with my dogs.
Those are the real VIPs.
They are the real VIPs, absolutely. But I totally agree. Arsenal, they don't have to apologise for winning the Premier League. They deserve it. Because at the beginning of the season, you ask yourself, how do we get a competitive advantage? Where can we win games? And set pieces is just one way of winning it. And they've mastered it. So I think that it's fair play. It wasn't always a pleasure to watch, but in the end, Mikel Arteta is so ambitious. He wanted to win a trophy, and he's already, you know, he's also managed to get into the Champions League final. So it's looking so great for them. And I think, yeah, Man City, I was at times disappointed. They could have competed more with Arsenal and Liverpool in particular. Sorry, Stevie. But yeah, Arsenal, they deserve it. And I think there's nothing to complain about. Yeah.
Look at that. Hitz throwing shade at Liverpool, and it wasn't me today, Stevie. But Stevie, for years now, we have talked about Arsenal lacking that mentality, and that's been what has given Manchester City or Liverpool the edge over them the last 2 seasons. Now that they've finally gotten over that hump, now that they're the bride, not the bridesmaid, do you think that's the beginning of something new, a beginning of an era of dominance too?
Well, I think it's a natural step, is what it is. Because I would have to think that one of the reasons that we all kind of say that, you know, particularly the second half of the season, it wasn't spectacular to watch. But at the same time, I think 90% of the games, Arsenal were at the edge of the opposition's box. You know, the fact that they haven't quite, every time they stepped on the field, produced a bit of magic and scored lots of goals, but they've completely dominated the majority of games. And so, absolutely, and I think, as I said, the next step is expanding a wee bit and being better in the final third, because I think a lot of the reason the second half was the way it was because the lack of experience in winning a championship, and I'm thinking, and I'm pointing the finger mostly at Arteta. You know, I think Arteta on the sideline absolutely affects his team, and so I think one of the big things for them going forward, if he can calm down a little bit. And maybe that'll make the team calm down, which, when it comes to the final third, they calm down and then they're able to show a bit more of what they've actually got. Because we know it's there. We've seen it on many occasions. So, yeah, I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you're sitting going, you know what, we can be better.
Yeah.
We already know we can win games by set pieces, bullying people, whatever you want. We know that. We can now take the next step and start scoring more goals.
Mikel Arteta calmed down in the sideline?
I believe so.